I like vent windows. You can get just a ton of air through them, breezing through your hair, but they do have some problems. They do get old and tired. They'll make a lot of whistling noises and things like that. It really doesn't look custom. It doesn't look smooth. So today I'm going to show you how to install a one-piece window kit and give you a really nice, smooth, custom look. My name is David Welch. I'm at Brothers Tech Center every single week showing you how to get your truck back on the road and looking good at the same time. You stay tuned. Check this out. You hear? So let's take a look at what the kit comes with first. You have your instructions. You got these really small little screws you got to make sure you keep your hands on. This right here is known as window tape. I'll show you how to use that a little bit later. You have these felts that go in the door. You'll notice that they're a lot different from the felts that you've seen before with all this extra bit right here. You've got this window channel that's going to go in. You get glass, of course, and you're not going to really need any special tools per se. There's one little kicker to that. There's these funny little bolts, nuts that are on there sometimes called clutch heads. I'll show you those in a little bit, but it's got a funny little end on it, and you'll need this tool here if you're going to be able to get those out easily. You're also going to want to get some glue. That does not come with the kit, and this is a little rubber stop that is in the bottom of the door. I'll show you that in a little bit. A couple of screwdrivers, Phillips flathead, a couple of these little plastic spatula things here to take off the old window felt and stuff. So nothing really special. You don't need a ton of time or a ton of people or anything like that. It's not that big of a deal. You can do it. Let me show you how. All right, so you see how this is an unusual looking opening right here that the clutch head is specifically made for. Now, a lot of times these things are going to be rusted up in there pretty good. So what I'll do is I'll take a hammer and I'll hammer on the end of this. Of course, I put some oil on there a day or so before. I've already loosened these up and they're going to be coming out for me nice and easy. Now, that may not or probably won't come out nice and easy for you. So if they're rusted in there. So what you can do is you can take a Dremel tool and you can cut a little slot in there, then you can get a large flathead screwdriver and try to take it off that way. If that doesn't work, what you can do is just get yourself a little nut like this, put it right up on there, weld it on, and then you'll be able to just unbolt it pretty easy that way. So these will more than likely take you time because they do strip out pretty quick and come off pretty hard. So just take your time with a little bit. Looks like somebody got a little inventive on this one when it started to break and put an extra screw in it here. Normally these aren't in here, but you do get clever repairs you find sometimes over the years. So not proper, but it worked. So with that out, the little rubber stop is on a little bracket down here. And I'm just going to pop that baby out of there, take it out. I can roll my window all the way down. Normally, I'll be able to go below the felts. These felts are falling out already, and it's keeping me from being able to roll the window down all the way. So these guys are going to be a little problematic on me here. This normally doesn't happen, but the window regulator might be rusted or miscellaneous things. Okay, so there we got it down far enough. Now I can use this and just gently pry the old window felt out. You want to make sure that you're not doing any damage to your door. And you can see how these just pop in. If your door's painted, of course, you're going to want to get some tape on here. And finally out. So you can see these right here, and they just press in. These are generally relatively easy to come out. Next, I'll take the old channel out. Now, sometimes people will have glued these in, and they'll be real trouble to take off. Normally, this is a lot longer. I don't know what happened to that, but it is missing, so no big deal. So after I get that out, I'll take my vent window here out. And it is generally held in by just small Phillips head screwdrivers, but over the years, people will put all kinds of different screws and nuts and things in here. So it's anybody's guess what you might have up in here. They also used to have small clutch heads on this too. So when you get the clutch head, you get the assortment of sizes so that you have some small to large. So this is just going to take me a bit to get out of here. You've got one screw right here, here, right here, and right here. So we're going to get all of those out. Now we've also got two at the bottom down here. We'll get out. And then we'll be able to lift this guy out. Now normally there's a trim piece that goes right up here, I'm sure you're familiar with. This was just missing and I forgot to mention. It's not a big deal. It has a couple of clips at the top and normally on the side. Two screws here. Comes off nice and easy. I've got my vent window all loose, but you're not going to be able to take it out because of this bracket that's on the bottom of this here. So what we're going to need to do is take the glass out, and we've got a couple of different choices for that. And we'll need to roll it up about right here, and then you'll be able to see a screw right here and a screw right here, and you'll take those out, and then the glass will come off of this channel down here like that. So a lot of times what I'll do if I'm worried about the door or I'm worried about the glass is I'll put some rags or towels down on the bottom of the door, and then I'll just simply take the glass and set it down at the bottom of the door, out of my way a little bit. With that there, now I can take my vent window and pull it up. Sometimes it'll jam up in there. Okay, now when you get to the top here, you need to take your vent window and turn it 90 degrees. And when you do that, that's going to let this bracket at the bottom clear, and you got it all out. Okay, so now I'll be able to take my glass out, and if I'm worried about the glass, I'll put tape on here. Maybe one of my buddies can use the glass. Okay, so this has, sometimes this old tape will be there and it'll make it difficult to come out. We are not going to be using the frame or the old glass, of course, but we will be using this bottom sash piece right here. So next I'll be taking this off of the frame. This also has some very small clutch heads. These will typically get rusted in and be a problem. Maybe you'll get lucky, you can oil them up and take them out. If you can't, it's not that big of a deal. You just take a drill and drill them out. We're not going to be saving these or reusing them or anything like that, so we don't have to worry about it too much. So I just need to get this sash off the bottom. There's setting tape that's holding it in there. A lot of times it just falls out. Sometimes it's just stuck in there. And what I'll have to do is different things. Get razors, go ahead and try to cut the tape. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll get acetone and I'll let it soak in there. Or I'll get some wax and grease cleaner. And then I'll just let it continually soak into here until it makes this tape so soft that it comes out nice and easy. Looks like this one's going to be not too much trouble, and I'm going to be able to get this off. You can use your plastic spatulas and things so you don't do damage to the glass. And you can see it comes off pretty much just like that. And right here there's a little metal brace, and we're going to need to cut that out. see this metal that's hanging down right here? Now we need to take that and we need to move it forward, if you will. So you can take yourself a hammer and chisel, and then you can just go ahead and hammer it down like this. I think a little bit more eloquent way maybe though would be to get a die grinder and then just cut along this edge right here, and then it'll make this piece of metal here easier to fold in. But we need to take that and tuck it in, because when the window comes up, if this is jutting out, it'll kind of bind into that. So next I'm going to be installing this channel here, but before I do that, I want to make sure that where the channel is going to be glued in is nice and clean. If it's dirty, your glue's not going to stick. So just get some wax and grease remover or whatever you need, and make sure that that's nice and clean, and your glue will stick. Now in the back of the door right here, there's a metal channel going, and at the bottom of this little channel, there's a little bit of a hook. And that little hook is where we're going to take our channel and have it sit. Now, a couple of things about the channel that I want you to know about is that if you take this and you bend it too much, you're going to kink it. And then when you try to straighten it out, you're never going to get it straight. So we got to make sure that when we're installing the new piece, we don't get a kink in the wrong spot and then try to have to bend it back out straight, okay? So I'll show you a little bit more on that later. But you get yourself a light like this that'll stick in here, and now I can see that tab pretty good down there. And when I take this piece right here, I want to get just a gentle bow going at the top here, so to speak. I don't want any harsh kinks. So I'm just going to take this guy here and the front of it. I'm going to slide both these down at the same time. And then I want to make sure that I'm in that slot. Okay, I'm in there good. Now I can go ahead and making sure that it's down. Now I can get the corners secure, and that's going to kink it there a little bit, so I got to make sure it's in the right spot. You can see this front right here can really get kinked too. So we're going to bring that up nice and easy. And we're always keeping our pressure here like that. So sometimes these things will kink a little bit on you or what. Just get a spatula, widen it back out. Now get this to fit in here nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to glue it in. And everything is looking good. Now this channel is really long. It's going to hang down to about right here or so. So expect that, and do not trim that off. We want that extra to be hanging there to kind of give us a little bit more stability when we're rolling our glass down. Now this corner right here, that's a pretty good bind. So a lot of times what I like to do right here is I'll just get some snips and I'll cut in very small little V's right here. Don't make it too big, and that'll make it so that it fits in that corner a little bit easier for you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and glue it in. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on here so that it doesn't completely fall down. And I want to be able to work with it some. And it's going to be difficult if you were to just take this out and put glue on it and put glue on the door. It'd just be a bloody mess when you try to get it back in. So what you're going to want to do is just pull back your channel enough to get some glue on there. Don't put a ton of it on, just put some of it on. And another thing that's kind of funny about this glue, if you just put it on one side, a lot of times it won't stick when you shut it. So what you do is you put a little bit of glue on the weather stripping and a little bit of glue on the door. like right here in the corner. Now when you are putting on the this glue, you want to put it on this face right here, if you will, this outer face, because this channel here we're going to want all the way up against this edge right here, all the way around. It's a little bit thinner than what your opening is here, and up here there's nothing to hold it on, so we can't have this going all different directions. We need it up flush against this outside edge right here. So just take your time here, glue it down some, get tape, and then make sure again it is all the way against this edge right here, and then do another section, and then just keep going and doing sections so you don't get a big bloody mess. I want to give my glue a lot of time to dry. I don't want to try to install the glass and have my channel falling down on me and giving me problems and stuff like that. So while that's drying, I'll take care of a few things on the side. A lot of times these will be old and rusty. You're going to have to clean them up and paint them. Another thing that you're going to want to notice is that originally when the frame was on there, it had these brackets on the front and on the back. And what we're going to want to do is just cut those off, because they'll a lot of times give us a problem when they jam into the channel and drag. So we're just going to take them right on off. Now, a lot of times when you're pulling out your felts at the top right here, this is going to get damaged. So you just get yourself a pliers and come up in the door opening and fix these right here. If this is all weird and off-centered and stuff like that, it's going to make rolling the window up and down a little bit harder sometimes, or you'll have a large gap and it won't be even. It'll let more water get in there, and then you're going to have to worry about rust in the bottom of your door. Then you're going to have to bring it to me and replace it. You don't want to do that. All right, so I'm just going to take care of a few things while I'm waiting for the glue to dry. One of them would be to make sure that my window regulator is all oiled up and operating properly. This is actually a step that you're going to want to do before you even order the kit from us. You're going to want to know if that's bad or not, because you don't want to get to this stage and then find out you're going to need to order this and have to wait for it. Now, what you're going to be looking for on your window regulator to decide whether it's good or not is these wheels right here. They're plastic and they're typically broken and bad and gone. And when you put the door back together, you make sure you get a lot of grease on these, otherwise it's going to go bad on you in the future. And also get enough grease into the channel here that these little wheels ride in. All of your pivot points, obviously you're going to want to get grease on. These springs right here, they're typically broken. A lot of times all of the splines on this right where your window regulator handle goes, they'll be all stripped out. A lot of times this piece right here isn't working correctly, or it'll have it where it completely bit off the teeth on the back side. So double check and make sure it's not all loosey-goosey on you, that it's rolling up and down nice, that your wheels are good on you. And if that's the case, you can just use your old one, clean it up, grease it up, and you'll be good to go. If not, of course, we do have these. Another thing I'd like to mention is that if you want to go with an electric, we also have a kit that'll make that for you too. Okay, so I've taken the bottom sash, the piece of metal that was on the bottom of the glass, and I've re-bolted it into my channel right here. I put some tape up here. Obviously, I don't necessarily need it for this door, but you probably want it on yours. Another thing I like to do on the glass is that it comes in this protected wrap. So I'll open it up, I'll double check to make sure I don't have any scratches, then I'll just cut it off with generous edges and I'll put tape on here, and that'll help protect it. You have to make sure that you're staying away from the edges though, because you're going to have to put it in the bottom of the sash and you're going to have to run these in the channels. Now, how the glass installs is you have to roll this all the way down. And then what we're going to be doing is installing the glass like this. We get it down pretty far, and then we'll be able to rotate it like that. So let's see if I can get this in on the first try. Oh yeah, not tough at all. Now I'll roll the window up. Okay, good. All right, so what we're doing here is this sash, it can move back and forth, the glass can move back and forth, but we need to have it in the right position so that it goes right into this kind of unusual tilt, if you will. So we're going to roll this up and down several times, making sure that the glass, you can see here, it's not fitting in the corner right. So I'll get it and I'll shift it up like this. I'll go ahead and make sure it's in there nice. I'll make sure that this is pretty even. It's not rubbing on my sash or my channel in the back here. Now we rolled this up several different times up and down, and what we found that worked best on this door is that if we took the sash here and we moved it forward some, then it seemed to roll up and down better. You have to be careful though, if you are going to move the sash forward, you have to make sure that this rear wheel does not fall out of the channel when you're rolling it all the way down in this midsection here, because it might pop off of there. So double check stuff like that. After you're really comfortable with everything's going, all you got to do is just mark here and right there. So now when we put our tape in, we can use that as a mark and we'll get it in the exact same spot. Now I'll go ahead and attach the glass to the sash here. I want to make sure that my marks are lined up, and you'll notice it's not in the center of the glass. So when I take my glass setting tape here, I won't set it in the center. I'll set it in the center of the sash. I'll make a little mark on here so that it's going in the right spot. And then the original glass was thicker, and this glass here is a bit thinner. So what I did is I just took some channel locks and I just pinched this in a little bit, not much, just some. I'm also going to take some glue and put it on there, and I'll put just a little bit on the glass too. I don't want to get too crazy with the glue. It can make a pretty big mess pretty quick. If you get it slopping around, go ahead and wipe it up as soon as you can, because once it dries it becomes more of a problem to deal with. So just a little here and there. I'll take the tape, put it on the window first, make sure my lines are lined up. I want to make sure I'm pretty even. Fold it down a little. I'll put this sash on. I'll line up my marks. And then starting at one edge, I'll go ahead and press that on down. Now, sometimes you'll need to use a rubber mallet. If you do, you probably don't want to hit it way up here, because you can bend this edge right here. So you're going to want to get a piece of wood and put it on this thicker channel right here so you have more support and you don't have to worry about bending something. And once I've got that edge started, then I can just work it on down. Might take a couple of passes. I'm all good and secure now. The leftover that you got hanging out here, you're going to want to cut that off, because if you don't, what will happen sometimes is it'll interfere with your whiskers at the top, and it'll knock them off their pins and make them fall down and stuff. So go ahead and trim off any extra you got here. Now on your old window, the frame and everything was holding on to the glass, but in this case it's only the bottom sash that's holding on. There's no frame. So you got to make sure that this dries up really good before you go to the next step. You don't want it falling off for you when you get it in there. So now I should be able to go ahead and install this. Make sure you're in your channels in the front and back. And then you can tilt the glass like that. Hold it up about there. Roll it back up. And screw it back in. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is roll the window all the way down so we can put our felts on. And what you'll notice on this is that it's got this extra piece right here because your original felt only went to right here and stopped. Now these right here, they're going to go right into the original holes, and then you'll go ahead, simply get it in here, and you're going to want to line them all up and then snap them in. If you get one and snap it in or something like that, if you bend this and tweak it, it's kind of like the channel. You're going to be left with that little tweak in there. So you got to be careful with this. Now when you get to the top right here, there's nothing holding it on. So in the kit comes these really little screws. And you'll notice that on the edge right here, you really do not have a lot of metal to grab onto. So what I'm going to do is I'll put a screw probably about right here where I've got a nice chunk of metal, and then I'll probably put one right up about here. But notice that you do not have a lot of metal on either side for that matter. So I'm going to go ahead and snap these in. I'll get a little drill bit. I'll drill right where I want it. I'll put my screw in. When I'm putting my screw in, I got to make sure that it is really buried into this mohair right here, because if it's sticking out, it's going to scratch your glass and you're going to be mad. So this is going to go like this. Now on the back side right here, this is going to be a little bit long, and it's going to tuck in behind your felt right here. So you just simply push it to the side a little bit, wiggle this in there a little, and then we'll line up all of the little tabs, get them right to the holes, and then you'll generally hear them pop in. Okay, got a stubborn one here. That's where these come in handy. All right, there we go. Okay, good. Now before I drill my next hole, I'll get the screw in there. I'll have this nice and secure, then I'll drill the next hole. All right, so we're all done now. Now right here, I'm still getting just a little bit of a bind. It's not a real big deal. It's a slight drag. If I was going to do this over again, I think probably what I would have done is instead of just moving those little pieces of metal forward, I probably just would have grinded or cut them out all the way to give myself a little bit more clearance right here. When I put the screws in, it is really tough to kind of get what's left of the metal, so be careful on that. And another thing that you really got to consider when you're doing this job is, like I said in the beginning, is all the peripherals. So don't just order this and call it a day. Make sure that you have this and the clips that are going in it, the little screws in the bottom. Make sure your window regulator, your handles, all that stuff's looking good so you can do the job in one fell swoop instead of having to wait for parts to come. My name's David Welch. I'm at Brothers Tech Center every single week, bolting parts onto trucks so that when you get them, they bolt in right. You make sure you stay tuned, because next week I'm going to have something else that you're going to want to see, and if you don't subscribe, you're going to feel bad about it. I don't want that to happen.